case you've lost track of the days, I'm really glad that you're here this evening. Again, thank you for supporting our Namaste online presence between our Facebook page and our online YouTube channel. We know that you guys are staying connected to us, and it's always sweet to hear from you. So if ever you want to send me a request or anything that you would like to practice with me, feel free. I did want to mention, usually when we teach classes, we have music playing in the background, but there are certain licensing things that we can't cross. But of course, if you feel like putting music on in the background at home makes you feel a little more connected to your practice, by all means, play some music in the background, because after all, it is your practice. Jolynn had posted about this class through the Namaste Facebook page, and in it was something about balance. And I thought it would be nice if we did a little bit of balance tonight, some balancing poses. But to start off, I'd like to do a pranayama practice. And the word prana is translated as life force, and yama is translated as control or restrictions. So let's start off with our pranayama practice. We're going to lay down on our bellies. Lay down on our backs. Lay down on your backs to get started. All right. Coming down onto your back. And then just settle in. If it feels better for you to put a little bit of a folded blanket up underneath your head, go ahead and do that. Make yourself at home in your home studio. And wiggle around a little bit until you feel like you're in a comfortable space. If it feels good and you want to put a blanket underneath your knees or a pillow underneath your knees, go ahead and do that. And just start to settle into a nice rhythm with your breath. And then I'd like you to think of the shape of your torso and divide your torso up into thirds. So we will do this sort of three-part guided breathing practice. And we'll start off by placing the hands on the belly so that the fingertips are resting right across the belly. The thumbs are going to be about where your belly button is, but the thumbs won't touch. The middle fingers are going to touch one another. And just settle into a nice rhythm with your breath. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. And what you may notice is as you breathe in, your fingertips start to pull away from one another. Relax your arms down towards the floor. So even if that means that your fingertips pull away from each other, that's okay. Really what we're just trying to do here is feel the fullness of the breath. The fullness of the breath, filling up that space of the belly. And noticing what it's like to settle into a nice rhythm with the breath. Again, as you take a full breath in, you feel the fingertips pull away, and as you exhale that breath out, the fingertips come towards each other again. And it's a pace that feels comfortable to you as you breathe in and breathe out. So you can think of the belly and that space of the belly as the bottom third of a glass. And then take your hands. My technician here is helping me out. I'm noticing my laptop shut down. I don't know why. Okay. Well, I can't see you anymore, so that's okay. Stay with me, please. All right, so now we've lifted the hands and we're coming up to that second third of the rib. Now we're on the rib cage. Hands are rested on the rib cage. Fingertips can kind of tap towards each other, but relax the arms. And
feel the rib cage lift on the inhale, almost like you're creating a little space between each of the ribs. And then as you exhale and release, you feel the fingertips come back together again. And so now this is that middle third that you're focusing on, taking the breath to the middle of the torso. And if you were thinking of a glass, the glass, this is the middle section of the glass. So now that you've established that space, I'd like you to lift your hands and rest your hands up on your chest so that your index fingers are pointing towards your collarbones. And the arms again are relaxed, so the fingertips may not touch depending on how long your arms are, how you position them. But the idea is to fill the top of the breath. So when we tell people to take a deep breath, typically this is pretty easy to figure out. Okay, take the breath here. So we breathe into the upper part of the chest, into the upper lungs, and then we exhale and we feel the fingertips come back together. And we inhale and feel the lungs filling up. Right at that top of the glass, right? You're pouring almost to the top edge of the glass. And then we let go. So now we've discovered the three parts, right? The low belly, the midsection, and the upper part. Take your hands down to the low belly and fill the low belly 1/3 with breath. Lift your hands to the ribs, the second third of the breath. Lift your hands to the chest and you filled up the glass. And if you were emptying a glass, you'd empty from the top and then you take your hands down to the middle and down to the low belly. Inhale, take in 1/3 of breath. The second third, and then fill up the glass. Release fill up the top, and then you're going to release to the middle, down to the bottom. And you can use your hands to continue this 3-part breathing. If the hands start to confuse you, that's okay, but I would like for you to think about filling the glass and emptying the glass. And you fill it the way, just like if it were filled with water or milk or beer, whatever it is that you're in the mood for. So we're using that 3-part breathing pranayama practice. And of course, this is a nice way to sort of create some focus, but also some letting go. Good. Now, return back to a natural breathing pattern and hug your knees into your chest. And you're just going to rock a little bit from side to side. I call that the poor man's massage. And you'll notice where it feels good to bring your knees close to your chest or to push your knees into your hands. You sort of rock a little bit from side to side. And hoping you have your props nearby. I'll have you bring your feet back down to the floor. And with your blocks now, you're still laying flat on your back, bring the soles of your feet together and place blocks underneath your knees, because we don't need to go too deep into this hip stretch. We're just getting started. So the blocks have different heights. If you need to bring the blocks up to a higher height, I like to put them at an angle. If you don't have blocks, of course, you're going to use the props that you've discovered in your own home yoga studio warehouse. All right? So we're coming into Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclining cobbler's pose. And we'll rest our hands on our belly, and we'll just feel our breath here. So as I said, this is a nice hip opener. Oftentimes we like to hold our emotions in our hips. Oftentimes if we've been out walking a lot, I hope you have, because the weather's been so nice and I'm not sure it's going to hold out. But if you're walking a lot, you're doing a lot of straightforward stepping and not a whole lot of widening into the hips. That also applies if you're a runner. Or some people's hips are just tight. So this is a nice way to loosen the hips up. And as you breathe in and breathe out, just enjoy this space. And then reach for your blocks, set them off to the side, and bring your feet to the floor. Take your right ankle and rest your right ankle on your left knee. Take your left hand, push your left thigh away, push your right thigh away, and then hug your toes back towards your knees. Melt your shoulders to the floor, engage the strength of the core. And again, feel the breath moving all the way through your torso, and then surrender into the letting go. Just feeling and noticing what you're feeling and noticing. Now, if you're comfortable, you can either use a strap and bring the strap behind your left leg, or you could reach both hands behind the left leg. Again, just opening the hips a little bit, flexing your toes back towards your knees, melting your shoulders to the floor. Focus on your breath. Focus on finding some balance, not only to your breath, but also to your body. So your body is seemingly a little bit out of balance, but you have to kind of hunt to find where you're connected in every direction. And then we'll release the left foot, release the right foot, place your left ankle on your right knee, push your left knee away, push your right thigh away. Find that balance, flexing the toes so the legs stay active. And you can stay here if you'd like, or wrap your hands around your right leg. And for me, again, I always feel things differently on the left side than the right. So when I come into this, the left hamstring is checking in with me, saying hello. Maybe you're noticing something like that as well. And then go ahead and release. Hug your knees into your chest again. Just enjoy that rocking from side to side. And now, go ahead and rock yourself up. We'll come into that cobbler's pose shape that we were in just a minute ago. Sit up on something. So give your hips a little bit of height. Remember, when we sit up on things, we're not using the blanket as a throne. We're using it more as a perch. So you want your pelvic floor to be as parallel to the floor as you can. So we're coming into cobbler's pose. I'll take my socks off so you can see. In cobbler's pose, just like when we were doing the reclining version of it, go ahead and use blocks or books or something underneath your knees, because really there's no reason to overdo, right? So we bring the soles of the feet together, and as you bring the soles of the feet together, you see the edges of your feet down flat on the floor, and then you pull your toes gently away from one another. So if it feels comfortable, you can take your hands and reach down into the arch of the foot and just give the feet, the arches, a little bit of a rub down. And the knees are relaxed on the block. Good. Now, if it doesn't feel comfortable to reach your feet and it's comfortable to relax your hands a little bit higher, go ahead and do that. And we're just feeling the breath here. Feeling the breath move all the way through the torso with that same level of intention of filling the glass and then emptying the glass.
if you feel comfortable staying in this cobbler's pose for these seated stretches, you can stay in cobbler's pose. If it's more authentic for your practice to cross one leg in front of the other for some seated stretches, do what feels best for you. And you can play around, you can go back and forth. All right, so you get your fingertips out to the side, pushing down into the fingers, feel yourself get long, float your right arm up, melt your shoulder, and then spider walk your left fingertips out to the side, reach to your left, inhale, come back, go the opposite way, inhale, come back, switch sides, anchoring into that right hip, stretching through the right fingertips, go the other way, come back, switch sides, and one more time, switch sides. And then inhale and come back to center. Take your arms out wide, snuggle your shoulders onto your back, and then reach your right arm forward. Take your left arm and maybe bring the back of your hands to touch one another. Maybe you want to rest your right elbow in the left elbow, or any variation in between, all right? Once you get your arms sort of in the place that you want them, lift your elbows up so that they become parallel to your shoulders, coming into eagle arms, and then plug the shoulders onto the back, hug the belly in, and breathe and notice the space for eagle arms or Garudasana arms. And then release the arms out wide. Good. Open up the chest. Feel the tips of the shoulder blades hug in. And we'll switch and take the opposite arm over. So this time the left arm will come over the right. And again, you want to come into a space that feels good to you. So if it feels like putting your hands, back of the hands to one another is enough, then that's enough. Just breathe here. Elbows parallel to the shoulders. And then exhale and release the arms. Take the arms out wide. Feel the front of the chest open. Take a breath. Take your left arm under your right. Lift the elbows. Plug the shoulders. Take the breath all the way through the torso. Switch sides. This time the left arm comes over the right. Feel the shoulders hug onto the back. At the same time, I really encourage you to feel the space of the back of the body. And release. Good. All right. Go ahead and take your blanket, move it off to the side somewhere, and meet me in a standing pose. All right. We'll start off in mountain pose to Tadasana. The feet are parallel to one another. Toes point forward, knees are soft, core is strong. Shoulders come over the hips and the ears come back over the shoulders. All right, take a breath here. Toes lift off the floor as you push down into the foundation of the pose, right? And you find a little bit of balance here. So without locking the knees, rock yourself forward a little, and then rock back into the heel. And then come to that place where you feel like all four corners of your feet are on the floor. And then float the arms up and overhead. Nice. Soften your shoulders as you reach up towards the sky. Hug your belly towards your spine. Full breath in, full breath out. Good. And then exhale, release your hands down next to your hips. Inhale, float the arms up. Exhale, release. Good. One more breath. Reach the arms up. Soften the shoulders. Feel yourself get tall. Good. As you push down into the corners of the feet, start to isometrically drag the mat apart. So you feel as if you're growing roots down through the feet. But from those roots, you can reach up through the tips of the fingers. And then turn your right palm up. Reach your left hand for your right wrist. Let's lean over to the left. You'll feel space from the right foot up to the right hip, from the right hip into the armpit. from the armpit through to the right fingertips. Good. Inhale, come back, and let's go the opposite way. Breathe. Good. Inhale, come back. Switch sides. Inhale, come back, and switch sides. Good. Come back to center. Take your arms out wide. Reach your right arm forward. Wrap your left arm underneath. Plug the shoulders onto the back. So again, you want to feel the strength of the shoulders on the back. Engage your core. And then sweep the arms out wide. Open up the front of the chest. Wrap the left arm underneath the right. Plug the shoulders onto the back. Garudasana arms or eagle arms. We're just breathing here and noticing. And we'll do that again. Right arm over the left. Take the arms out wide. Left arm over the right. Take the arms out wide. Reach your arms up and overhead. This time interlace your fingers. Reach your palms up towards the ceiling. Stretch over to the left. Inhale, come back. Lean over to your right. Inhale, come back. Stretch to the left. Good. Inhale, come back. And lean over to the right. Good. Inhale, come back to center. Come into a half forward fold, placing the hands at the tops of the thighs, keeping the hips right over the heels, keeping the knees soft. Go ahead and lean forward so your head comes parallel to your hips, your elbows point towards the ceiling. You've got the feet rooted down. Little stretch in the hamstring, a little strength in the core. No need to over pull in the hamstring, no need to skip using the core. Push down into your feet. Inhale, float the arms up. Let's do that half forward fold again. Engage the legs, engage the core. Find the balance. And push down, rise up. Arms come up and overhead. One more time, half forward fold. Taking a breath, feel your spine get long. All right, push into both feet, inhale and rise up. Reach your arms up and overhead and then take your hands to heart center. You may want to have a block nearby. We aren't going to try and touch the floor here, but sometimes people feel like they want to touch something. So we'll cross the right leg over the left and bring the right foot all the way down to the floor. Have your knees a little bit bent here. And once more, you'll hinge at the hips, bring your head forward, and maybe place your fingertips on the blocks out in front of you. As you push down into the feet, keep the knees soft, extend the heart forward. Use the strength of the core, use the strength of the hamstrings, balancing them. And push down into your feet. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. And exhale, release your hands to heart center. Now we'll switch sides and we'll place the right foot all the way down to the floor. Now, I should have said on the other side. If it feels like it's just too much of a stretch, you can always place your foot on the block. Just let's try and really hug the legs together so that it's balanced. Like your right leg is the one that's on the floor, the left foot's kind of floating, but they're working at the same rate of energy, right? Hinge at the hips and come down into that half forward fold. I call this one the turnpike stretch because sometimes if you're in the car driving for a long time and you get out, it's kind of nice to stand on the side of the car and do this little stretch of the hamstrings. Oh. Right, push down into both feet. Inhale and come up. Remember that when we used to go on the turnpike, when we used to leave our houses? I'm going to get to do that again sometime. I don't know when, but I know we're going to do that again. All right, so that was prepping us for eagle legs. So eagle legs, you can use your block to find it. You can wrap your right leg over your left. Hug those legs together, nice and snug. Putting your foot on a block. or sometimes just wrapping your right leg over your left. Good. Hug the legs so you're finding balance here. So that's eagle legs. The left foot's down on the floor, the right leg is snug in, and the legs are working together. All right, now we'll release the right leg, and we'll find that same level of balance with the left leg wrapping around the right. But of course, balance is tricky, so you may want to stand next to a wall as you hug those legs together. See if you can find the balance and the energy of the legs, more so than the balance of standing on one foot. All right, just breathe in, breathe out. All right, undo the feet. So we've done eagle arms, seated and standing. We've done a couple of variations of eagle legs. Now we're going to combine the arms and the legs together to do a full-on eagle pose, or Garudasana if you're learning Sanskrit. All right, so the feet are balanced. Use your block if you need to use your block, okay? So you may want to rest your foot. Use your wall if you want to use your wall. I wouldn't care if you were at the studio and you used the wall, but if you're at home and you use the wall, no one even has to know, right? All right, wrap the right leg over the left. Take a breath. Take your arms out wide. Open up the front of the chest. Feel your shoulders snuggle onto your back. Bring the left arm forward. Wrap the right arm underneath. Lift the elbows so they're parallel to the shoulders. Just feel your breath guiding you. Finding the space. Long through the torso. Balancing the energy in the legs. Undo. Take your left leg, cross it over your right. Take your left arm, bring it underneath your right. Coming back into Garudasana, eagle pose. Snuggle the shoulders. So as much as it's tempting to kind of round into the shoulders, lift your elbows parallel to the shoulders and then plug the arms onto the back. Hug your belly in. Put the softness in the knees, right? Breathe and notice. And then exhale. Release the arms, release the feet. Come into a variation of forward fold that feels good to you. And we'll push down into the feet and come all the way up. Reach your arms up and overhead. Good. And then bring your hands to heart center. All right. Let's revisit our eagle pose once more. We'll come into a different variation. Wrap your right leg over your left. Don't be afraid to put your foot on the block. Take your arms out wide. Hug the belly in. Wrap your right arm underneath your left. You're in eagle arms. Good. Now, let's be playful. All right. Now, go ahead and bend your knees and send your booty back. Bring your shoulders onto your back and start to sink into your hips. So you're getting heavy in the hips. And of course, like all the poses, this is optional. If it feels like something you don't want to do, just don't do it. Right? And we're just getting a little heavier in the hips. I'm not folding over, I'm actually sinking down. Right? I'm taking a breath, and maybe I'm landing my right elbow on my right knee. I'm all twisted. I think it's right elbow's on the right knee. Shoulders hug onto the back, and then I'll push down into the feet, getting those roots to go even deeper and come all the way up. Unwrap the arms. And let's do the same thing on the opposite side. So we'll wrap the left leg over the right. We'll bring the left arm underneath the right. And this is a great bus stop. If you'd prefer to get off here, get off here. All right, bend your knees. And maybe, just maybe, land your eagle. So again, for me, this side's going to be a little bit more challenging. I don't know what you're feeling, but I hope you do. All right? We were together in the classroom. I might look at your face and know if you were overdoing, over-efforting. But don't be afraid to stop. Right? Push down into both feet. Undo the arms. A forward fold is a nice way to emotionally and intellectually let it go. Push into both feet, and again, you may want to stand near your wall. Don't have to, but if you'd like, we'll come into 2 variations of tree pose. Hands start at heart center, anchor into your left foot. Place your right heel on your left ankle. Take a breath and reach your arms up. Melt your shoulders away and feel yourself lifting from your feet up through your fingertips. And you're just breathing in and breathing out. Good, and then exhale and release your hands to heart center. Release your right foot to the floor. Push into your right foot. Place your left heel on your right ankle and rise up, Vriksasana, tree pose. Feel your breath. Yourself get tall from the feet through the fingertips. And notice what you're noticing. Feel the front of the heart open. Feel the shoulders strong in the back. Exhale and release your hands to heart center. Bring your left foot down to meet your right. Take another breath. Float the arms up. Good. Place the right heel on the left ankle. Turn the left palm up. Reach your right hand for the left wrist. Lean over the bent leg. Lean over that right leg. Feel the space from the left foot all the way through the left fingertips. And then inhale and come back to center. Release the hands, release the foot. Go ahead and come the opposite way. Bringing your left heel to your right ankle. Bringing your arms up. Turning the right palm, leaning over the left leg. And again, you're just feeling and noticing your breath. Finding that softness and that strength. Good. And then come back. Slow flow, right? Release both feet. All right. So now, let's play again. Let's do a standing pigeon pose. So we did eagle pose with eagle arms. Now we're doing pigeon, kind of a bird theme, right? Birds are balanced, right? They're up in the sky. They just did all in one direction. They fall over. So they try and find that balance, and that's what we're going for tonight too. So the feet can stay balanced. Again, don't be afraid to use a wall. I'd say try not to lean against the wall, but if you come next to a wall and you know if you fall backwards, then you just fall backwards. All right? Feet are planted on the floor. Place your right ankle above your left knee and flex your toes and reach your arms up. Soften the shoulders. Turn the corners of your mouth up. Just doing yoga. And breathe here. Breathe in and breathe out. Awesome. Feel yourself getting taller, not by cramming your shoulders, but by rooting down and lifting up. There's the balance, right? Exhale. Hands come to heart center. Release your right foot. Do the same thing on the opposite side. Push into your right foot. Place your left ankle on your right knee. Feet are square. Both feet, right? Flex your toes back towards your knees with that left foot. Reach up through the fingertips. Breathe here and notice. Good. Exhale, take your hands to heart center. Release your left foot. Reach the arms up and overhead. Good. Now take your hands to heart center. Push into your left foot. Once more, place your right heel on your ankle. You may have to step a little bit away from the wall or more so that you're more sideways to the wall for this next variation. We'll have our hands at heart center. And then again, we'll push the booty back, engage the strength of the core, keep the heart lifting, and using the rhythm of your breath, slowly begin to lower down, and perhaps you can land your pigeon by placing your forearms on your calf. And then push down into your left foot and come back up. Do the other side. That was so fun, right? Pushing down into the right foot. Take your left heel, place it on your right knee. Bring your hands to heart center. Hug the shoulders. So we want to stay open here. Don't be afraid to use the wall. And then bend the right knee. Send your booty back. Keep both legs active and charged. Maybe what you observe is one side of your body responds differently to landing the pigeon than the other. And then push down into your right foot and come all the way up. Good. All right. Take your blocks, put them off to the side. Judy, I'm not sure if you're with me tonight, but I have some students that really love it when we get to downward facing dog, and we've gone all this time, we haven't done any. So come down to hands and knees. Hands are a little bit broader than your shoulders, and walk your knees back so that you're in a low plank. And then from low plank, go ahead and lift your knees. Here it is. Downward facing dog. Off the bird theme. We're snuggling the shoulders onto the back. And we're steadying into the breath. And bring your knees down to the floor. Look at your right hand. Bring your right knee forward to your right hand. And then walk the right knee out to the side. Right? You're walking the right knee out to the side, and as you do that, you want to walk the right foot closer to the left hand. There we go. Good. So the hips are square to the front of your mat. You may feel like you need a little support. You can put the support underneath that right hip. If the block feels like it's too much, you could grab a blanket. We don't need to go to a place where it feels uncomfortable. We're just going to a place where we feel like we're noticing. And the hands stay lifted. Some of you may want to come down onto your forearms. Some of you may feel more comfortable coming down and resting your head on your mat. You're just opening up that space of the hips. And again, it seems like maybe the body is a little physically off balance, but you work to bring everything back to that place of being balanced. Part of our practice, right, is looking for that balance. All right. So let's go to the other side, but in order to do that, let's be smooth about our transition. All right, so the right knee is going to come back to meet the left, and we'll come up into downward facing dog. Maybe pedal out the feet a little bit. See again if you can find balance between the legs. So the right leg might feel a little different than the left after your pigeon. Okay, look to your left hand. Bring the left knee forward and out. Look and make sure your right heel is directly behind your hip. So again, we're finding balance. Maybe it feels better to you to grab that blanket and snuggle it underneath your hip. But the hip bones are square to the front of your mat. And you'll surrender down into whatever variation of pigeon works for you. Try to keep the right heel pointing up towards the ceiling. Walk your hands back. One more down dog for the night. Plank to down dog. As you push down into your hands, feel your hips lift up towards the ceiling. And then release your knees down to the floor. Grab your blanket once more. And we want to sit on our blankets, not too high up. Good. Settle the hips down on the blankets. Rock a little bit from side to side. Nice. Okay. Now, let's come into baby cradle pose. All right, so it starts off, and you'll lift your, let's just start with the right leg. You'll lift your right leg, and you'll take your hand and wrap it around your right foot. And you'll take your right arm out and wrap your hand around the right leg, hugging that right leg in towards your center and lifting up through the heart. Now, this is a bus stop, and you can get off here. If you'd like, you can take your left arm out to the side and wrap your left arm around your right leg. Try not to sickle that left foot, so keeping the left foot is more flexed, is more important than maybe putting that foot up into the elbow. All right, and then we just rock from side to side, rocking our baby cradle pose here. Keep lifting up through the shoulders, keep flexing the toes back towards the knees. I would not have offered this pose when we first started practicing because it's a really nice big hip opener, but if your hips aren't open yet, it's hard to get here. Keep that the right toes hugging back towards the knee. All right, and then let's see what happens on the opposite side. So we'll bring the right leg down, we'll lift the left leg up. Here's the first bus stop. Wrap your hand around the left foot, wrap your left arm around the left leg. Great place to stop, right? There might be a variation where you could actually put the foot into the crux of the right arm, wrap the right arm around the front of the left leg, and then wrap the left leg around, or the left arm around the right leg. Left leg. Left arm around the left leg. There you go. Good. Tall and breathing. Rocking from side to side. Visit from my technician. Thanks, Patrick. All right, release the left foot. Good. Take a breath here. Push down into your hips. Let's come up into that cobbler's pose. Soles of the feet come together, lift tall. Breathing in and breathing out all the way through the torso. Keep the legs active and working in balance together. Right. Use your hands, bring the knees back together again. And come onto your backs again. Once you come down onto your backs, hug your knees into your chest. Rock from side to side. All right, release your feet to the floor. Take your right ankle and place it on your left knee. We've done this already this afternoon. Flex your toes back towards your knees. Push your right knee away with your hand. Push your left thigh away. Mount your shoulders to the floor. Breathing and noticing what you're noticing. Now, earlier I offered you the option of wrapping either a strap or your hands around the left leg. I'm offering that same option. So the way you wrap the strap is just to bring it behind the left leg, hands on the strap, and hug the left thigh back towards your chest. But whether you're using the strap or your hands, really make sure there's some balance, some give and take between your hands and your legs. You feel your shoulders melt to the floor.
And for some of you, it might feel good to reach your left heel up towards the ceiling, straightening into the left leg. Try not to lock into the left knee. Release the left foot to the floor. Keep your legs where they are. Take your arms out into a gentle T. So hands right next to the shoulders, maybe closer to the hips. For my shoulders, it doesn't feel great to bring my arms way up high. There's too much of a stretch there. But go to a place where you feel like you are held, all right? Then lift your hips and move them over to the right side of your mat. You still have your right ankle on your left knee. And then go ahead and come into a twist where you drop the right foot all the way down to the floor on the left side. Take your gaze over to your right hand. Take your left hand and gently push the right knee away from the right armpit. Push the right armpit down to the floor. And you'll find space in your twist. Feel your breath. Just notice what you're noticing. And then release the left hand. Bring your feet back to center. We'll square ourselves up on the mat. So you'll lift your hips and bring them back to center. Place your left ankle on your right knee. Push your left knee away. Flex the toes. Push your right thigh away. Melt your shoulders to the floor. Settle into this space. Notice where you're feeling the stretch as you push your legs away. Resist your legs back into your hands. So you're still actively balancing here. And then go ahead and wrap either the strap or your hands behind the back of your right leg. And you've got the knee hugging in. And feel what you're feeling. So if you take that left elbow and push it against the left knee, resist the left leg back into the left elbow. Push me, pull me with the hands in the right leg. Flexing the toes. And maybe sending the right heel up towards the ceiling. So this is a variation of pigeon, fallen pigeon. Another bird pose. But also a great option if you're moving through a practice and someone comes into a traditional pigeon pose where your knees are on the floor and it doesn't work for your knees, you'll just flip onto your back and come at it this way, right? There's always another way of finding the stretch in this space without aggravating or feeling like you're off balance. Release the right foot. Keep your right or your left ankle on the right knee. Take your arms out into that T. Lift your hips. Move them to the left side of the mat. Here we go. Drop the left foot all the way over to the right. Place your right hand on top of the left knee. Push the right knee away. Melt your left shoulder to the floor. Look over to your left hand. We're just breathing and noticing the twist here. Full breath in and full exhale, letting go. Then release the right hand, release the feet back to center. Grab those blocks. Let's revisit an earlier shape. We're coming back into reclining cobbler's pose or Supta Baddha Konasana. But before you do that, if you wore socks down into your space or up into your space or over into your space, put your socks back on because we'll be going from reclining cobbler's pose or Supta Baddha Konasana into Shavasana. So
get comfortable. If you had a sweatshirt when you started, you may want to put your sweatshirt on. If you had a blanket, have your blanket handy. So come all the way down onto the back, your back, and then take your blocks and prop them underneath your knees. Your hips may be a little more open than when you started, so you may feel comfortable and confident lowering the blocks, but you don't need to overstretch in order to find balance. So just go to a place that works for you. Take your hands to your bellies and just breathe. If you'd like to close your eyes and come into your Shavasana and let it be Supta Baddha Konasana, you can do that. If you feel more comfortable or you're more excited to do a different version of Shavasana, more traditional corpse pose, you release the blocks and you straighten through the legs. You can do that. Hands rest next to your hips, shoulders on the back, feet fall away. And of course, some of you I know love doing legs up the wall. If you'd like to work your way over to a wall and send your heels up towards the ceiling, it is always your practice. It's always your Shavasana. And the balance is sometimes to find that space between what the teacher is offering and what feels right for you. But it is our last pose, so it's a good idea to really, we hold it a little bit longer, so really go into what works for you. If it feels comfortable and you'd like to stay a little longer in your Shavasana tonight, you feel like that would bring you a little more balance, stay in your Shavasana as long as you'd like. Otherwise, go ahead and wiggle your fingers and your toes, bend into your knees, and then make your way onto your right side. And feel the breath moving all the way through the torso. Back to the beginning of our practice where you filled the cup with breath, and then you emptied the cup of the breath. Your pace feels good to you. In the make your way up into a seated pose. You can keep your eyes closed or just gently looking down. So the inspiration for my class tonight came from Jolene's posting. It's written by Lori DeSheen. It is this. Life is all about balance. You don't always need to be getting stuff done. Sometimes it's perfectly okay and absolutely necessary to shut down, kick back, and do nothing. At this time when we're all being asked to do as little as we can out in public, out with other people, I hope tonight's practice helped you find a little bit of balance. As always, I am honored to sit in the seat of teacher and so grateful when someone chooses to share their practice with me. We'll bring our hands to heart center. We'll take a full breath in. Exhale it out. Bowing the head to the heart with love and gratitude. Namaste.